So welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk a bit about Fluency Tutor for Google and do a quick overview. My name's Jason. And I work for TechStop and I'm the product manager in North America. And with me I have Martin Mackay.
Hi guys.
And so our plan today is just to walk through a few slides so everyone understands why Fluency Tutor for Google is important and useful. And then we're just going to do a quick demonstration to make sure everyone's clear on how it works. And of course, we'll take some time to answer any questions that you may have. So to start things off, I'm just going to hand things over to Martin, and I will mute so as not to mess up your presentation there, Martin. Martin has a few slides that he's going to go through.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So I'm Martin. I'm the CTO at TechStop, and so my job is to look after the research and development. And one of the products that we're working on at the moment is Fluency Tutor. And we want to just go through some slides. I'm going to show my screen now and kind of work you through some of the rationale behind the product and so on. So if I just switch this into presentation mode. So Jason's already said, Jason's the product manager for North America for this product, and I'm the chief geek, so I have to look after the R&D. So at TechStop, we're passionate about reading, so we want to help kids learn to read. And there's a little bit of reading fluency problem in the US and in the UK, largely caused by English language learners who are struggling to learn in their second language, and also, kids with reading difficulties and so on. But the important thing to understand is that if kids become avid readers, it really changes their life for the better. So some of our friends at CAST in Massachusetts, particularly a guy called David Rose and another guy called Skip Stahl, have done some research into this, and they've found that kids who become avid readers, so kids who lift books up and read them because they want to, and they read through choice, not because they've got to and it's their homework, by age 16 they will consume 400 times more text. And that's transformative from a life chances perspective. Your vocabulary is better, your knowledge is better, and you interview better, and so on. So what we want to be able to do is turn more people into avid readers. So, the question we ask ourselves is, how do we make avid readers? And it's really quite easy. Once kids learn to read, and once you give them content that they're interested in, they'll read. So, the next question is, how do we teach kids to read? And we've been teaching kids to read the same way since writing and printing appeared. And the way that you guys learn to read and the way that you guys teach your children to read hasn't really changed very much. You most likely hold a book up for your kids, and you point your finger at a word and you say that word out loud. And as you read the sentence, you move your finger along. So that's just supported, guided, repeated reading. So you support the child, you guide them with your finger, you repeat it. If there's a word that you think they don't understand, you can ask them what it means, and if they don't know what it means, you can explain what the word means, give them an example sentence, and so on. And then what you want to do is move your finger along and have them read to you, and you can correct them as they go along. So teaching kids to read with supported, guided, repeated reading has been going on for a long time. And nowadays we can use computers to help kids with this. Certainly not taking the place of parents or teachers, but it does allow a little bit of independent reading support and a little bit of independent learning to go on. So we want to show you some of that stuff. But whenever we teach children to read, it's really important that we measure their progress. So we have to have a way of measuring that progress. And when we're measuring reading fluency, we want to measure their ability to read quickly and accurately and with expression. And we measure that in words correct per minute. There's been a ton of research done on this. The National Reading Panel was formed around the No Child Left Behind initiative, and so there's a lot of guidance on this sort of thing. And so we measure their reading speed and accuracy in words correct per minute. And we use a rubric for the expression. And you'll see this ability in Fluency Tutor for Google. And we've got some tools to allow you to do that. So in the classroom right now, We've got to keep running records, and we've got to measure kids' reading fluency. And it usually happens with a stopwatch. I'm sure all of you have done this many times. So you go get a kid and you give them a piece of paper with a reading passage on it, and you get a copy of the reading passage, and you get a stopwatch, or you look at your watch, and you tell the student to start to read, and they read, and if they make a mispronunciation or hesitation, you mark that on the paper, and then at the end of 1 minute, you mark the last word that they got to. You count up the total number of words, and you count up the errors, and you get the words correct per minute score, and you can also get percentage words correct. There are lots of things wrong with that. It gives you an accurate score for that reading that happened, but kids don't like it because they're under pressure reading, against a stopwatch in front of a class. Particularly struggling readers, they don't like that at all. We find teachers don't like it very much because it's a little bit of busy work. They have to count words and do kind of paperwork and admin and so on. Also, just from the practical perspective, if you're listening to a kid reading and they come along to a word in a sentence which is spelled L-I-V-E and they say live instead of live, well, is that a mispronunciation or is that a substitution? So in the time that you've decided what type of spelling error or pronunciation error or reading error that is, the kid's already gone on 3 or 4 more words, and by that time you have to just make your mind up quickly and go along. So there are quite a few things that Fluency Tutor allows you to do, and I'm going to hand over to Jason a little bit. But the purpose of this product was to try to take the teaching of reading and the independent learning of reading, and also the assessment of that progress, and take it into the 21st century. And so we want to try to get rid of the stigma of the kid having to read on the run at the front of a class with a stopwatch. We want to allow the kid to read in the comfort of their own home or in their own time without feeling under pressure. We want the teacher to know when the kid has read it, and we want it to be super easy for the teacher to do the scoring. We want to keep the audio track so that the teacher can review it in the future or share it with the parents. We don't want the teacher to have to do any kind of admin or calculations or busy work. We want to do all that for you. And so I'm going to hand over to Jason now, and Jason is going to take you through that user journey, show you how you can find it in the store, and get right through to using it in the classroom. So Jason, I'm going to mute my microphone now and hand back over to you.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Martin. So I'm going to just go right into a screen share mode and just basically walk everyone through kind of the user journey on, as a teacher, how do you get this and install it, and then I'll share a passage with Martin. Martin can be our student for today, and he can read a passage for us, and I'll go through and score that. And in the meantime, if you have questions, there's a questions panel that I've activated here in the Hangout, so feel free to ask questions at any time, and Martin, while I'm talking, can hop in and answer those questions. Right, so I'm going to share my screen and minimize the Hangout. So hopefully what you see is our Fluency Tutor for Google homepage. So if you've not yet tried Fluency Tutor for Google, or you have and you want to share it with others, you can simply direct them to fluencytutorforgoogle.com, and they'll be taken to this page. Tells a little bit about it, shows you a screenshot, has answers to some frequently asked questions, and so on. From there, all you have to do is click the blue button that says available in the Chrome Web Store, and that will pop up the Fluency Tutor for Google app. So notice here that it's kind of cut off a bit, but it says teacher app. And basically, if you're an educator, you go and install this app, and when you share passages with students, the first time they open a passage, they will have to install an app themselves, which would be the student version of that. But if your plan is to be sharing with students, then you'll need to grab this teacher app here. So I've already installed this, so I can't hit the install button or anything, but instead it says launch app. So I'll go ahead and click launch app, and you'll see in my address bar it's taking me to the dashboard. Now, a couple of things. The screen looks a little bit busy if this is the first time you've seen it, but the first time you visit Fluency Tutor for Google, you'll be taken to this page, and it'll say welcome, and it'll say in just 3 easy steps you can begin listening to a recorded passage from one of your students. And so there's a video here you can watch, a very short, easy to understand video that'll walk you through things. You hit try it out. It'll let you see some sample content, see what students actually see, and then you just go to dashboard. Now in the dashboard, this shows recent activity. So it'll show here, for example, that Debbie started reading a passage but didn't finish it, but Paul, on the other hand, finished reading a passage. So this shows you some recent activity that's going on in recent passages that you've shared. Now, if it's the first time you've been on or accessed the app, this is going to be blank because you haven't shared anything with anyone yet. But where you're going to spend most of your time is one of two places. You're usually going to be sharing reading passages, or you're going to view your students and score passages they've recorded and things like that. So I'm just going to start at the first one with share a reading passage. And you'll see here, Martin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we have around 700 passages. You'll see that there's just a list here, and you can sort. There's 47 pages of this. So it's a lot to look through. You can see we have it by Lexile level, by reading age, description, title, those sort of things. But if you want to narrow it down, all you need to do is click the filter button. And if I wanted to filter it between Lexile level, let's say 700 and 800, or you could do reading age or keywords, anything like that. I'll choose apply filters, and now you can see I've got one of 6 pages here. So I'll just choose one. We'll choose one here on cave paintings to share. You can share up to 4 at a time, and then share another 4.
So Jason, we've got a question from Donna.
Okay.
And Donna says, all I see is a face. So Donna, I don't know, you may just see my face. And if you just see my face, you should click on the Jason link, and you should see Jason's screen. And if you can see, if you get to see something else apart from a face, because my face is not what this hangout about, it's about Jason's screen. Hopefully you can click on Jason's screen and see his screen. Sorry, Jason, you can carry on.
No, good point. Yeah, at the bottom of a hangout, there's usually little tiles, and there's usually a tile for each person. So there's one for me and one for Martin. So if you're clicked on Martin's, you probably just see his face. So you click over on mine, and hopefully you'll see my screen here. So once you go in and choose to share a passage from the dashboard, you then just need to filter and find the passage that you would like. Like I said, you can share up to 4. So I'm going to share. I'm just going to share one for the moment, just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to select my students. This next screen that pops up should look very familiar to you if you use Google Drive. And it says, who do you want to share with? And I'm just going to share this one with Martin. So it's going to auto-populate even because it knows it's just connected to my Google Drive account. So this is great. If you have students, you just choose the students that you would like. If you have a group of students set up, you call the group something like apples or oranges or group 1 or group 2. You can just start typing that group, and it will send it to all of them there. So here's Martin, and no need to put a note in. I'm just going to hit send, and I'm just going to close this out. And what's going to happen is Martin is going to get an email, and he's also going to be able to check in his incoming folder in Google Drive, and he should see the passage come through. So Martin, have you seen that come through?
Yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen now. I'm going to flip over and share my screen. And if we go and look at my Drive folder, so you can see in incoming, you can see that Jason has just shared a file for me, and it's called Cave Paintings. And you can see a bunch of other stuff that's been shared with me today. So if I click on Cave Paintings, it's going to open up this reading passage, and you can see that it's got a little reading passage on the left-hand side, and down the right-hand side we've got our reading support tools. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of how this works, and I'm going to make a recording. But earlier on we were saying about supported guided reading, and if I press play, this is going to read the passage, and then it's going to synchronously highlight the text at the same time. So first of all, I'm going to listen to this a little bit. So Jason, I've just realized, can you hear that audio coming over the Hangout? Jason may be muted.
Yeah, sorry, that doesn't help. You can barely hear it coming through, so not enough to tell what it's actually saying.
Oh goodness, that's a pity. Okay, because it's reading it out to me. And okay, so as I'm listening to it, it's reading it aloud to me. I wonder if it would work better with a speakerphone. And if I'm confused about what a word means, I can select the word. So, for example, if I select the word canvas, I can just press the dictionary button, and you can see that it gives me dictionary definitions for canvas. And if I want to listen to this, it'll read it aloud to me. So, and that's reading it aloud in my headset. Similarly, if I want to try to understand what a word means, I can also use the picture dictionary, and you can see that it's going to give me some images for beautiful. Or if I select the word yellow and I look at the picture dictionary, you can see that it gives me a couple of symbols for yellow. And also, if I've got Spanish as my first language, I can select a word like beautiful, and I can translate it into Spanish. And so we can see for kids who don't have Spanish or who don't have English as their first language, it's a great tool to help them understand. But what I want to do is actually make a reading, make a recording now, so that Jason can score this. So imagine I'm a student and I read this. So Jason often thinks it's funny that he often says I mispronounce stuff because of my accent. But anyway, let's have a go at this. So I'm just going to press record. And so now it's ready to record, and I press start record. Okay, cave paintings. When you think of a cave, you might think of a dark, scary place. But early man saw caves as a blank canvas to create beautiful paintings. They used materials found in nature, such as charcoal and minerals, to make their paint. The colors they used were mostly shades of brown, yellow, and red. Early man painted pictures of animals and humans. Sometimes they painted symbols and other shapes, such as the outline of their hand. Turn the page. One of the most famous cave paintings is in France. Like many great discoveries, it was found by accident during World War II. In 1940, 4 young boys were out exploring when they found the cave. They used ropes to lower themselves into the cave's small opening. Inside, they saw the paintings for the first time. They told their teacher, who contacted experts who made this discovery legendary. Inside the cave, the entrance is decorated with hundreds of animals. There are many horses, cows, and deer. 4 big black gulls are painted on the wall. That counts as a self-correction, by the way. This area is called the Hall of the Bulls. One of the animal paintings has 1 long horn on its head. This section is known as the unicorn panel. In other panels in the cave, early man painted humans that looked like stick figures. And so I'm going to press stop recording. So I've pressed stop recording, and if I want to, I can play this recording back, and and so that's actually playing, and so that's okay. If I want to, if I'm happy with that, that's good. If I want to make a new recording, if I'm not happy with my recording, I can just do it over again. But for now, I'm just going to go back to my reading. I could also save this in my, I could download it to my PC if I'm particularly happy with it. But I'm just going to go back to my reading. And at this stage, I'm kind of done with that. And I can just go back to my drive and close that tab. I'm going to hand back over to Jason now, and we should be able to see my activity on Jason's dashboard.
Right, okay. Thanks, Martin. Right, so I'm going to just hit the refresh button real quick. And you'll see that Martin has finished reading cave paintings. So I could click right in there and go to it, but I want to show you the way that people would normally go through it there. And Donna, I saw another question pop up a moment ago that you couldn't see my face. It may have been because I have the screen share turned on or off, and also there is a video automatically being created of this, so you'll be able to go through and any parts that you may have missed because of something there, you could go back through and see it there as well. So we've already went through sharing reading passages, and now I want to view student profiles. When I click on that, it's going to show me the email addresses of any students that I've shared things with so far. Currently, there's only one page. You can see here's Martin. If I wanted to sort this, I could just sort by last activity. The other way around. There we go. So Martin is the most recent. So I'm going to click on Martin, and it's going to take me and show me the passages I've shared with him. Now I've only shared one passage with Martin, but if I've shared 20 passages with him, I would still show the date. And you could go here, and the green kind of dot there means that it's been finished. The kind of face there with a headset means that there is a recording available, and then the pin being grayed out there means that I've not yet scored it. So to get to this particular passage, I just need to click on it, and you'll notice here it says student progress. So you haven't scored any passages for this student. So what normally happens if you've scored a few passages, there'd actually be a chart here that shows the student's progress over time. This is the first one I've scored of Martin, so there's no progress so far. And now I'm kind of into Martin's own dashboard here that I can see, and this is very specific to cave paintings, the passage that I shared. And you can see reading started means when he chose the text-to-speech to have it read aloud. This shows words that were looked up in the dictionary and the picture dictionary. It shows that the translator was used. And then finally it shows when start and stop recording was actually clicked on there when he started his recording and then stopped it, and it also shows that he played back his recording. So really useful stuff there. You can get an idea of what all the students are, or what supports they're taking advantage of, and what words they may be having trouble with and all that. Now at this point, everything you've seen so far is absolutely free, and it stays for free, and we even have some more stuff coming out next week that's going to be added onto that, and it's all free. Where the premium feature starts is with Score This Recording. So if you have Fluency Tutor and you haven't yet installed it, today I think is September 26th. Yes, today is September 26th. If you install Fluency Tutor for Google prior to October 1st, you're going to have access to it, to the premium features as well, for free for a full year. So until October 1, 2015, which you'll see up here at the top right of my screen. So Score This Reading is what we would call a premium feature, and when I click on it, it's going to show the passage that Martin just read. Martin had mentioned if you don't like your first reading, you could just record it again. And here under Select Recording, there's only one to choose from because he only chose to read it once, but if he read it multiple times, this would be a drop-down that showed all the times that he read it, so we could choose whichever one that he wanted. We also know how long that Martin read for. So the reason he actually went through and read the whole passage is because it's important that students read for at least a minute, because the scores that we need to track, in addition to fluency as far as how things were read and the phrasing and all that kind of stuff, we need to know the words that a student has read correctly per minute. And from that, we know if they're making improvements or not making improvements, or if the text is too difficult or not difficult enough, and all those sort of things. And the only way we know words correct per minute is if we know that a student read for at least a minute, then calculate the errors there. So here you see it's a minute, 34 seconds. The types of errors that can be made. And Martin, did this come from the National Reading Panel? The mispronunciation. This is like the standard thing that you look for when.
Yeah. So there are six error types, and it came from the National Reading Panel and from their work, from their research. And there's actually one other thing which we don't record because it's not really an error. But so mispronunciation is obvious, hesitation is obvious, and insertion is when they insert an extra word, and omission is when they leave a word out. Substitution is when they say one word and they meant to say another, and a transposition is where they say pepper and salt instead of salt and pepper. One other it's not really an error type. It's just an observation. It's a self-correction. So sometimes a kid will say something wrong, and then when they hear it out loud, when they hear themselves say it, they'll self-correct. And we don't count that as an error. And the National Rating Panel doesn't recommend that we count that as an error. They do pay a little bit of a penalty for that because of the additional time that it takes. There's a time penalty, so their words correct per minute score will be slightly worse. But it's yeah. So these are the standard things. And just to speak a little bit about the detail of this, so below this, if Jason scores this, whenever he's scoring it, you'll see the number of mispronunciations appearing and the number of hesitations. And when he's finished it, it'll calculate the words correct per minute. You can see where Jason's mouse is. It says WCPM, and also the percentage words correct. And so the percentage words correct is really important. If the percentage words correct is below 90%, then the text is too hard. It's kind of called being in the frustration zone, or the kids are going to be frustrated. If 1 word in 10 they can't understand, then the text is just too difficult. And you should share some stuff at an easier Lexile level. And if the text is too easy, you know, if they're getting 97%, they're not really going to be learning. And you want to keep them in that instructional zone between 90% correct and 97% correct. And as they get up towards 97, move them up to a more difficult Lexile. And if they're below 90, definitely move them down to an easier Lexile. And then a couple of other little things that may be interesting. You know, if you see kids who are making mainly mispronunciations and hesitations, that can indicate that maybe they need some more foundational phonics work before they should be focusing on fluency. And you know, insertions and omissions and substitutions can often just be an attention to detail thing, asking kids to slow down and take care and really focus on accuracy. But you know, one of the really cool things about Fluency Tutor is how easy it is to score. So you don't have to have a Jason will score this now. So 1 minute of reading should take, you know, 1 minute and 10 seconds to score. I'm going to hand back to Jason now.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to hit the play button, and when I hit the play button, you're going to hear Martin reading, and I'm just going to follow along with my mouse. And you'll see, anytime I hover over a word right now, it actually highlights that word where you can click on it. So if you click on that, that's how you go and choose mispronunciation or hesitation or insertion and so on. So you just follow along as the student's reading. At any time, you can hit pause and so on. So I'll go ahead and click play.
Okay, cave paintings. When you think of a cave, you might think of a dark, scary place.
So I'm going to mark mispronunciation about 700 times because of that.
Early man draw caves on the blank canvas to create beautiful paintings. They used materials found in nature, such as charcoal and minerals, to make their paint.
Okay, and just while Jason's doing this, you should notice that whenever you click on a word, we pause the audio track, and that just gives you a little bit of time to think, well, you know, what sort of error is that? If a kid's racing along and reading and you click on a word, we stop the audio track to give you time to decide what type of error it is and tag it. And if you didn't hear it clearly, you can press the rewind button and we'll skip back a few seconds and let you listen to that segment again.
The colours they used were mostly shades of brown, yellow and red. Early man painted pictures of animals and humans. Sometimes they painted symbols and other shapes, such as the outline of their hand. Turn page. One of the most famous cave paintings is in France. Like many great discoveries, it was found by accident during World War II. In 1940, 4 young boys were out exploring when they found the cave. They used ropes to lower themselves into the cave's small opening. Inside, they saw the paintings for the first time. They told their teacher, who contacted.
So the reason I've continued on for that long, and there's some static in there, but that static, I don't believe that's a Fluency Tutor issue.
No, it's not. It's my headset. I think I'm living in a Faraday cage.
So it tells minute marker you've reached the minute point of this recording. So now you go through and set the minute marker, and this is very important. If you don't set the minute marker, you won't see any scores. So I'm going to go ahead and set that now.
Experts who made
and then I'm just going to go ahead and hit stop. You can continue scoring if you would like and listening to the passage, but as far as I'm concerned, we're good to go here. And you see where I set that minute mark. There's a little kind of clock that appears in there, and now you see on this. This passage is too easy for Martin. We're going to have to get it a little more difficult.
Clearly, I just rock.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
So you see his mispronunciations, hesitations, and so on. There's only 2 mispronunciations. So his percent words correct is 98.54. If you were just doing this to practice or you wanted to do it again later, you could hit clear the errors and so on. And so in this case, I think, Mark, what did you say, over 97%?
Over 97% is really too easy. And I personally, if a student read like this, I wouldn't commit it to the running record because the text was just too easy. And we really want to measure their progress. And that's like not really an assessment. That's too easy. I mean, it's great. If a kid's getting 98, it's great.
Yeah, the progress is going to be decreasing in this particular scenario. You're going to have to mess with this a bit in the beginning to figure out exactly where students are if you don't already know. So I'm going to hit save scoring, and then this kind of rubric comes up. And what this does is there's going to be 4 components of this rubric, and this is what calculates the student's fluency. So 4 is best, 1 is not best. And so you go through and rate. For example, here we'll say expression. And so we'll just go through and I'll randomly choose some things here. There's expression, and phrasing was good, and smoothness, we'll say occasional breaks.
And that's just because I've got an Irish accent.
Yeah, no, I think it was where he stopped to say, I'm going to go to the next page now.
Oh, okay.
So you were consistently conversational. So I'll go and say next. And I'll just leave a little bit of feedback here. Now I'm just saying great job, keep it up, but you would really want to include valuable feedback here because not in this particular version, but the update that's coming out next week, students are going to have access to this feedback. So rather than saying try harder or great job, if you can give specific feedback on what they need to work on, that's a very good idea. Feedback's critical to improvement. Great job, keep it up. And I'll hit finish. It's saving the scoring, and now it's going to take me out. And you'll see this is the kind of dashboard from before that we saw when we went into the passage. But now it has the words correct per minute, and it has the percent of words correct and fluency score. And we can go and review it again if we want to, which is very handy, by the way. If for example, you have a parent come in. You could sit down and look at this stuff together and listen to see how the student's progressing and so on. This other piece is target words correct per minute. That's going to be added in, I think, next week.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And if you want, actually, Jason, if you're using, do you have any students in your dashboard for whom you've got a little bit of running record and you can show a graph?
Yeah, I should. Let me go to View Student Profiles. And I'll choose myself because I've had 11 passages there. Yeah, here's some things. So you see this shows, this would show in red is the fluency score, so that's that kind of rubric that we looked out there towards the end. And the blue is the words correct per minute, and you can actually click on that to be taken to that passage dashboard and go back and have a look at it and rescore it or whatever you'd like to do. And in addition, you can see on several of these, the pen is now blue instead of, the background is now blue instead of gray, meaning that this passage has been scored, so it does give you kind of a look real quick on whether or not you've scored something. So, I mean, at this point, that's pretty much it. You understand the reasoning behind Fluency Tutor and why it's critical for developing avid readers. You understand hopefully how to share passages and then how to score those passages. If I quickly go back to the dashboard, just so you'll see what else is available there. Yeah, it's taking a minute. There we go. So we've covered the first 2. If you want to invite other teachers to this, you just hit connect another teacher and send that out. And what we really want is your feedback, because with your help we can continue to add features to this. So if you hit submit feedback, I just ask for your name and a couple of details, and you just tell us what your feedback is, and that'll go straight to our development team to look at. And then, of course, that watch introduction video just takes you back to the intro video. And then the last thing to check out is our community, which should be here somewhere. Where's at the very bottom? Yeah, at the very bottom, if you can see it, we've got a Google community that I strongly recommend you join, because anytime anything new comes out or you have questions or feedback or anything like that, there's a community there with a little over 100 folks so far. But this is very early on, so you can kind of learn from others and things like that as well. So I'm going to switch this back over, and happy to take any questions if there are any questions out there. So we'll give that kind of a 10-second count. If we don't see anything, we really appreciate it. Those of you that hopped on, and be sure to contact either Martin or I if you have any questions, or better yet, just hop in the community there. Right, okay, I don't see anything coming through. I'm going to stop this broadcast.
Thank you, everyone.